which begs the question, so then what do we do with Revelation now? The word rapture is never mentioned in it.
No.
But the rapture people, believers look to it. But it does, what does it speak to eschatology, for example, for ultimate things or in things?
Yeah, Revelation, eschatology, big, you use the big word, right? 11 letters, big word. Has to do with what's ultimately real, whether in the cosmos, like is there a heaven with God up there, or in the course of history, what's truly real, what's behind death, beyond death. Revelation doesn't put out a timeline, but it does put out some images.
Mm-hmm.
So in Revelation, there's a hope for a resurrection where all the people of God are raised and they don't go to heaven.
Right. That's news to a lot of people.
There's one group that goes to heaven, and that's martyrs who wait in heaven. It's often overlooked, but Revelation mentions them. Everybody else, you're dead until this resurrection. And what happens is, rather than people going to heaven, a new Jerusalem comes from heaven to earth. And it's this massive, glorious city with fresh water and fresh fruit and all these gleaming materials where God is present and there's no pain and there's community and worship. That eschatology is basically that, right? That there is hope for this future reality that you can participate in. But another part of the eschatology is what's real now. And Revelation's answer to what's real now is Rome looks like a monster, a beast. And it's ferocious, and people look at it and say, who can make war and fight against the beast? And Revelation says, the beast is not the ultimate reality that you should give loyalty to here. There's God. God has revealed God's ways in the world through the Lamb. That's what's real. And you can overcome the beast by being faithful to God and the Lamb. So that is eschatology too.
Yeah. It's hard to understand because John uses so many different symbols.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are parts, as you say, discussed as a rhetorical device that are used that they're overwhelming. The book of Revelation is overwhelming to the senses, and I could just imagine somebody who got their advanced copy and that they're reading it and going, whoa, holy shit, okay, how am I going to talk about this? And like some rhetorician and who's about to go out on a stage or something, and it's just a lot. But where the end times pastors and writers like Timothy LaHaye and his co-writer, who I'm always forgetting, they're looking at these symbols. What are the major symbols? And you mentioned Rome. You're not talking about the Pope. You're talking about Rome in the 1st century AD.
The emperor and the imperial system.
Right.
So one way to think about it is the basic conflict in most of Revelation is between the Lamb, which is the symbol for Jesus, and the beast or sea monster, which is the symbol for a long chunk that represents Rome. And you can make a chart of the things they have in common. Multiple eyes and heads. They both have mortal wounds, but somehow they're alive. They have sponsors. The Lamb's sponsor is God sitting on the throne. The beast sponsor is identified as the devil. They have followers. Their followers receive marks on their bodies. They receive worship. They enter into combat with each other. I could go on. There are a few more. But you realize that this is really a kind of poetry, doing theology through these symbols.
Mm-hmm.
That the Lamb and the beast are in an absolute conflict. But the difference is the beast lies, the beast exploits, the beast murders. The lamb has one weapon. It has a sword coming from its mouth, which is to say its weapon is the truth. And that is how the lamb and its followers conquer, is by adhering to the truth. So these are, wildly different systems. And what Revelation needs to do is look at Rome and its empire, its wealth, and say, that looks fantastic, right? Let's pull the veil off and see what it's really